Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Bread with Rivaaj Maharaj, where, as we say, nothing is off the table. For today's episode, I wanted to talk about an article that caught my eye in the Guardian newspaper regarding a plea request by the Pakistani government to the United States to ask the Israelis to remove two top Iranian officials' names from the Israeli hit list. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, there's been lots of reports coming in recently regarding, the war in Iran and, the fact that the United States has submitted a plan that the Iranians first said that they did not that the Americans seem to be negotiating with themselves and no such negotiations are existing and no plan was received, and then subsequently the Iranians said they deny the plan. They don't accept the plan that was submitted, and there's just, the waters are so muddy. However, if no plan was submitted, how is it then possible that the Iranians reject the plan that was purportedly delivered to them by the Pakistanis? But nevertheless, there's reports in the media coming out that Pakistan may play a mediating role within this conflict. But what caught my eye was this little clipping says in The Guardian, which says Iran's foreign minister taken off Israel's hit list at request of Pakistan. Report: Israel has reportedly taken Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Aragchi and the Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf off its hit list after Pakistan requested the US not to target them, according to Reuters news agency, citing a source from Islamabad with knowledge of the matter. Aragchi had been heading Iran's delegation in nuclear talks with the US and is one of Iran's most experienced diplomats, while Ghalibaf is supposedly seen by some in the White House as a workable partner. The Israelis had their coordinates and wanted to take them out. We told the US if they are also eliminated, then there is no one else to talk to. Hence, the US asked the Israelis to back off, the Pakistani source was quoted as saying by Reuters. The Wall Street Journal, which first reported the claim, cited American officials saying the two Iranian men were removed from the US and Israel's target list for up to 4 or 5 days as Donald Trump attempts to reopen negotiations with Iran. The report did not mention any Pakistani involvement. A number of senior Iranian officials have been killed by Israel since the onset of the current war, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and Security Chief Ali Larijani. Okay, so the reason I flagged this article is because, you see, there's talks. Now, the Pakistan aspect is less material, because the Pakistanis are claiming that they asked the Americans to get in touch with the Israelis to have the names removed. And the Wall Street Journal article mentions that names were removed, but it doesn't mention anything about Pakistan having requested it. The important point here is that Abbas Aragchi's name has been removed. And the reason I say this is because when this war first began, I did a video where I did say that I thought that the person that the Americans would end up dealing with would be Abbas Aragchi. He's a diplomat. You see in his dress, he was present at the last round of negotiations before the war kicked off. And he had to come out in a hardline type of way. And I suspect a deal similar to what has happened in Venezuela could be going on within within Iran. And this was something I flagged in that very same video that I did. And why I said Abbas Aragchi was because he came out as a hardliner in terms of, he had to say these were optics for his home consumption, but also for those elements within the IRGC and BEGS that were wary of anyone cutting a deal. Because you got to remember, a deal cut means that these hardliners within the IRGC and the BEGS now become targets. Their lives are at risk. So they have every reason. It's existential fight for them because they want this regime to continue. Should this regime, should it dissolve? they are in big problems. They could lose their lives, they lose their livelihoods, they become targets. And this is why it's important for them to keep fighting. Now, if this backdoor channeling is going on, I mentioned then it would be Abbas Aragchi who I thought that the government would deal with. Not so much Pezeshkian, because Pezeshkian to me seemed more like a tool, a person put in there just as a figurehead. He wasn't put into his position because he held some sort of authority. He just looked very defunct. If I had to equate him, I would say he's in a similar position to the Shah of Iran's son, Reza Pahlavi. You know, there's just nothing there. There's no substance. It's just somebody who's saying to people, tell me what to say, I'll go out there and say it. Whereas Abbas Aragchi commands that he has that power behind him. You can see that when he speaks authoritatively. And that is why I decided to flag this article, because I thought, I remember when this war started nearly a month ago now, I did say that if there was a deal to be done, it was going to be done with somebody like Abbas Aragchi. And I thought that the Americans would have already isolated him as the person to deal with, because he seemed like the more level-headed person. He's a diplomat. He's somebody that no matter what he's going to say, you can always get through to him. And I'm certain that he is involved in some form of negotiations with the Americans to have this stop. However, I must say that short of there being a change of the regime within Iran, that means should the theocracy continue, should the IRGC and the Basij continue within Iran, albeit under Abbas Aragchi or somebody else, this war will not end. It will just simmer. It will simmer, and within the year or early next year, this war will then kick off again if it sees a subsidence at some point as a result of these talks. Because until there is no change, you are going to have this flare-up continue. And the longer it carries on and the more instability it creates, the more problem you're going to have to open a door for civil war and insurgency. So yeah, I just wanted to flag this article that I read in The Guardian because I thought it was quite poignant, given the fact that when I did my first video, when this war had actually kicked off, one of those videos, I'll see if I can find that one and I'll put it up. I did mention that the person I thought most capable of doing a deal with the Americans was Abbas Aragchi. So I want to thank you for spending time with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, as it helps us with the algorithm and it helps our channel to grow.